suddenly very wheezy.
Very wheezy.
Like if I laugh hard enough.
Maybe from your cough that you had for a long time.
I think it's from multiple bouts of COVID.
Yeah, probably.
Because I feel like it's ever since then, my laugh gets very wheezy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I sound like a crazy old person.
Yeah.
I can't see your face. I'm still fighting with this whole
I know.
new setup. I kind of just like miss the dining table and the cats.
The old school version.
I miss the cats.
I like the new setup.
I know you do.
I think it looks great.
It does.
Oh wait, I'm way too early on this. How are you?
I feel like if you're gonna have long hair, you gotta. Oh no! See, you let it dry just enough. Oh God.
There's also a little product in there. A little grooming clean.
Shit.
A little 9-year-old grooming clean.
Oh my God. It's literally like a curl right on top of your head.
It's okay. Just leave it.
No, but it's gonna.
We'll fix it in post. You're making it worse. We'll fix it in post. We'll get the.
I wish you could see it. It literally is like it's like a swirl like this right on top.
We'll get the.
Okay, you can't fix that in post.
We'll get the CG team on that to
There's no CG
brush
team.
that. Just rotoscope that.
What?
I don't know what that means really. I
Okay,
think it's a term.
It's like
What?
This whole area is fully blocking.
How
your
is
face.
this different than normal?
I don't know, but it's like, is this a joint? Can you like?
No, there's nothing we can do about this.
I mean, okay. Can you see my face?
Yeah.
All right.
Hi. I'm Hyper Spencer, and this is Critical Shannon.
Why so accurate? Like right off the bat. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call you hyper right now.
Yeah.
But I woke up this morning to you like opening the curtains and like singing a good morning song.
It was like
Bean and I were like
whistling with the birds like a Disney princess.
like Snow White.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even Bean looked annoyed.
He was like, what are
Could you
doing?"
keep it down?
I'm like, it is 6:30 a.m. I feel like my glasses are a little dirty. I can see a smudge.
I
Can
can
you
see a
guys see it?
smudge too.
No, they can't see it. We'll fix it in post.
Your mustache is looking sharp today.
I did this thing.
I agree.
I did this thing today called shaving. I even trimmed my nose hairs.
Do men only do that? Nice. Do men only do that sort of thing after they know the bathroom has been cleaned? I literally just vacuumed the floor in the bathroom, and you come in and like pick up the clippers. I was like, "What are you doing?"
I went outside to do it. At least.
But then you came back.
I did
and
the
it was
initial
like,
trim.
which is nice.
You should have seen how much hair was all over the backyard.
You were debating saying more specifically the location of your.
And by the compost pile, I just I shave straight into the compost pile.
I mean, you said like human hair is compostable.
And skin, like you're vacuuming, which is mostly, by the way, skin and hair.
I know.
And, all that stuff.
Hopefully, cat hair is acceptable.
Yeah,
that's
cat hair.
most of what I'm vacuuming.
Biodegradable.
Good.
Right into the worms. They munch it up and they poop it out, and we use it to grow tomatoes
That we eat.
that we eat.
And then the scraps go right back in.
Yeah.
That's what's interesting to me.
And then all the tomatoes that we buy at the grocery store
also go into the compost.
that we take 1 or 2 out of. We throw those in the compost.
We do better
well.
than that. It's not that bad.
I would bet if you like tallied, like weighed out how much like produce we buy and how much we eat versus how much our worms eat, it would be heavily weighted to the worms.
No, I don't think it's heavily. I'd say equal. I'd say equal, maybe leaning towards the worms. Get a little bit more.
Yeah.
But then, like, I don't feel too bad. Like, I hate throwing away food. So, like, when we do like a bad job and we're like, I just want to order Thai food, and then we end up throwing meat away.
Oh shit, we haven't had Thai food in a while.
Well, it's been hot. It's way too
Yeah.
hot for Thai food.
Well, it's been cooler. It's hot today.
The way you said that sounded like cooler, like like Adam Sandler character or something. Thai food in the heat reminds me of being at Wreck-It
Yeah.
in July. One of the guys was like, towards the end of the day, he was like, "Man, I am starving. I'm going straight to get some Thai food." And Romark was like, "Ugh, What?
We'd been like outside
Thai
doing
food?
truck pulls and stuff, and it
Yeah.
was sweaty. And I'm like, I want some water and
That's about it.
maybe a piece of watermelon, something cool and refreshing.
Man, see, melon in general, I'm like, I need like a tester, like a taste tester first, not for poison, but for is it a good melon? Because I don't want to take a bite out of it.
So, you have a live-in melon tester for all the times.
Fruit in general. Because like when you have a really good mango, it's like, fuck, fruit is good. And then you have a bad one and you're like, I hate fruit and I
like,
never want to try it again.
It's a little sour and you're like, give it to the worms.
Not people who are hungry.
No.
That reminds me. Okay, pretentious alert.
Yeah.
When I was in Peru, we were at Machu Picchu, like learning about, the Incas and Machu Picchu, and the guy was telling a story about sacrifices.
Yeah.
And he didn't say anything more specific than that.
Yeah.
The assumption is people.
Yeah.
And we had been, there's a lot of like llamas and alpacas around, and they're so cute. And I think at one point someone ate alpaca because it's like on the menu.
Wow.
I think it was Piers actually.
Well, I mean, like, I guess it's not that weird.
It's not. It's just me.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, that's so sad. I hope it wasn't alpacas they were sacrificing. And Piers goes,
just people.
or people. I was like,
well,
who are these people? I don't know.
It's like yesterday, I was like, I asked you, I was like, and this is a like little peek behind the curtain into Spencer's brain. I randomly asked you, I was like, we were just like not talking about anything in particular.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, if I suddenly developed superpowers and I was starting to become an evil person, like, and starting to become a super villain, would you either choose to fight me, to try to turn me good, or would you just be like, I guess we're evil now?
The beauty of the story is, and I know where you're going with this, I'll let you finish it, but the beauty is I have spent 18 years with you, and I knew exactly where you were going with this. So you were like, so if I suddenly was the most powerful...
And you're like, yes, I would turn evil, okay?
I basically cut you off like word 3 and you were like, cool.
Cool, all right.
And then how did that conversation wrap up? Do you remember?
Just that, like...
What was my justification for
you were basically
evil?
like, knowing us and our personalities, like, it wouldn't be like you turn evil and you're murdering people for fun. It's more like you're considered evil because you kill people.
You're making this way more complicated than what actually happened.
Because you kill people because they let their cat be an outdoor cat. It's like
I'm sorry. I feel bad for these people, but they're like, my indoor-outdoor cat is missing. I'm like, this is literally directly your fault. This is 100% on you.
Outside, yeah.
I really like. I want to. I want to get
weird. Like,
I want to get really rich, and I want to eradicate this theory that
all
people think,
who let cats outside.
Yes, but people are like, again, I think I've said this before, but like the idiot 7-year-old kid on the playground who's like, did you know cats turn feral in 24 hours?
Yeah.
And I'm like, people will think that the rest of their lives. They won't even know why. It's just like a subconscious fact that they think.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like, I don't know, like there's no other animal that's a pet.
That is acceptable to just
Unless
let outside.
It's like a farm animal.
Right.
That it's like, oh yeah, I let my pet outside. He just hangs out. Like he
like
goes
first and
out,
foremost
free
is an
roams.
alpaca who lives outside.
And like the only reason, I'm sure people used to do it more often. And like dogs, you don't see it happen because dogs can be dangerous. You know what I mean?
And they also, I don't think they don't think they have the same like intellect as cats as far as like coming back home. Mm-hmm. I think they just like run and run and run.
Cats like will mind their own business. They will like hang around their property and stuff. But like our neighbor has had a hawk in their backyard for like, or a falcon or whatever it was. You know?
My brother laughed at me when I said falcon. He goes, you sure it wasn't a hawk? I was like, I don't know.
I mean, there could be.
But we go from a day where the day I deleted, actually no, it happened in person. Mm-hmm. We were on a walk and we saw something that you were like, I'm pretty sure that was a hawk that got that cat.
Yeah.
And that is very upsetting for me. Like I can't move on from that for a while. And then we get home and the window from your office looks right over our neighbor's backyard, and literally it's like Hawk 5-6 feet past him is the
Just cat chilling.
and I'm like, Spencer, I have to go over there. I have to get her.
Whenever I think of like hawks like that too, I think of I don't even know if they ever, I think there is a name technically, but the stand user hawk from JoJo. Remember this?
I mean,
the Iggy
kind
fights?
of. The what?
Iggy fights him. It's like a really long drawn out
Oh God,
thing.
yes.
He like makes ice or whatever.
I knew for a fact when you said Hawk, the stand, do you not remember? I'm like, it must have been in not Battle Tendency, Stardust Crusaders, where there's a stand every 30 seconds.
Yeah. It's near the end.
I remember now, yeah.
And it's like a long drawn out thing. And it's just Iggy on his own.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those episodes where you're like...
Yeah. And, yeah, it's... I mean, it's intense. And, like, I'm pretty sure... No, he comes back after that. Mm-hmm. Mm. I think he dies shortly afterwards.
And then Abdul, too. And they both, like, go off into the sunset
like
together.
They're, like, in the clouds.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert for the end of Stardust Crusaders. Anyway, that's a just random segue.
Yeah. Well, and going back to close the loop here, you're the most powerful whatever in the world. I think you said villain, like you would be.
No,
like,
I just meant like I had developed superpowers and I was the most powerful person on the world. And then
you said on that. So I keep picturing you on the world.
Yeah. Well, we're all on the world.
But my point was, I'd be happy to be a villain with you because we would use all of your powers to, and you were like, help baby cats. I was like, yes. See, that's all I need. The rest doesn't matter. No,
I would totally abuse my power. And I think we talked about this on the podcast before. Like if I was ever like in a legitimate position of power, like a dictator, I would totally be like, and we've talked about this, but I would totally be like the unhinged dictator that's like playing video games.
9 hours of video game playing every day. Everybody has to commit.
And every single citizen of this country has to watch my Twitch stream.
Because you're not like rich enough. You don't have enough attention. Yeah. You needed to stream to
like a giant, like at my giant dictator table with all my generals in there.
It's like a round table on top of
it's a big rectangular table, and I'm at the end, and they're all down the side. You know, and I'm just like, raging. And it's like...
You don't rage, though. I can't even picture this.
There were only 10,500 people watching. And I know that we have at least 10,700 people living on this island.
This is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not the world. It's an island now.
Well, we start with the island.
Okay.
This is before I've developed my superpowers.
What are you going to call this island? Don't.
What? Probably Hegmogia.
Exactly. That's exactly why I said don't. I knew it.
Anyway, welcome to Hypercritical. I'm Spencer, and with me as always is Shannon.
I forget your name. This guest.
Spencer's wife. That was the joke when I was growing up. I was always AJ's brother. Mm.
Even on your birthday, he would say it's AJ's brother's birthday.
It's his brother's birthday. Yeah.
Brat.
Yeah.
What are we drinking?
That's my line. What are we drinking today, Shannon?
This is red Kool-Aid.
Oh.
Doesn't it look like red Kool-Aid?
Kind of does.
Mine for sure does. Yours looks a little more like Campari.
Yeah. Just straight Campari.
Oh, could you imagine? I mean, like that's actually
huge glass of Campari.
That's too much for me. That's just Campari and soda. And I think that like it needs like an orange wedge or just even like a tiny something to cut it.
It's really light. Like it doesn't have a super intense flavor.
It's bitter.
Like when you have a Negroni, sometimes it's like thick. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like it almost feels like viscous.
Concentrated.
You know what I mean? Like
it's like when you go to bars and they're like, we have Negronis on tap. We're always like, could you make me a fresh one?
Yeah.
Because it feels a little concentrated.
But this just has like a little bit of that flavor. What is Campari's flavor? It's kind of like licoricey.
I mean, it's just bitter.
Yeah.
Because that's the beauty of the combination of ingredients in a Negroni. It's like
Yeah.
bitter, floral, and sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And then you add orange for like a little bit of like tart sweet.
Mm-hmm.
I did the same. I just added like a splash of pineapple juice.
Yeah.
And it literally like looks like red Kool-Aid. Reminds me of Bert Kreischer every time.
I don't know.
He's got his giant jug.
Oh yeah. He's like, yeah.
And like Tom asks him about it and he's like, Kool-Aid. And he goes, the double take, David, my brother and I replayed it like 5 times because the double take is so good. Because he kind of accepts it for just a split second.
Okay.
And then he looks back and then Bert starts pouring it in a glass and he's like losing his mind. He goes, what? Before he pours it though, he goes, what flavor? And he goes, red. It's like, red's not a flavor.
For Kool-Aid it is.
Exactly. I know. It was so funny.
What was your favorite Kool-Aid flavor growing up?
We didn't drink Kool-Aid.
We did Gatorade every once in a while. Surprisingly,
I just pictured the packets. We did have Kool-Aid around sometimes.
We never really did Kool-Aid. Red was always good.
I feel like we always had red.
But Gatorade or Powerade or whatever was cool for a while, like the blue one.
Yeah. See, my mom didn't buy drinks like that. She didn't like us keeping drinks like that around the house. She would buy this, and just let me get through this. She didn't like keeping things like Gatorade and Powerade and Sunny D and whatever, but she would buy like cases of like Coke.
Yeah.
Not a ton, but like Sam's, you know, it would just like pile up in the garage.
There's just piles of cocaine in the garage.
Yeah.
Your mom's crazy.
I think in part it was like the acceptable soft drink to have around because my dad's drink was rum and Coke.
Yeah.
So that just made it
more
we're
using it for alcohol. So.
Right. I mean, I feel like I relate to that version of Val and HB right now.
Yeah.
Like that's what you and I would do. Be like, I'm not going to buy Sprite for you.
No, I wouldn't. Yeah. I mean, we went through like, and I think we've talked about this too before. Like we went through all the sodas and stuff. Like my younger brother really likes Sprite. So we would get it because he's the younger. That's like the younger brother.
It is, yeah. Weirdly. I don't know why it just is. Jackson always drinks that too.
And we would have stuff around all the time. Mm-hmm. My mom was just big on like no diet drinks or like alternative. She didn't like alternative sugar stuff.
Yeah, I never did either. My mom was the same.
Yeah, but like we had Coke around. We had like Edge Cola and
I remember you talking about that before,
RC Cola and stuff like that. It was just, I mean, there was a Mountain Dew phase.
Ugh.
Remember last week when we ordered tacos?
Ew, God, I had forgotten.
I didn't realize. I'm trying so hard right now to not do this. And then also last week I was like moving my knee around.
There are times where we're talking and I literally like just over coffee and your foot does this and I literally will reach out and like stop.
Like a statue.
Apparently it's like a lymphatic system thing. Like it's your body literally, like if you're like a bouncer, you know what I mean? Like, you know, those kids in high school that always bounce their leg.
Oh, I thought you meant like
no, I didn't. And you didn't stop it.
We used to have, what was I talking about before?
Mountain Dew tacos.
Oh, Mountain Dew tacos. Yeah. So,
we ordered breakfast
tacos and I didn't realize I ordered a combo. I thought I just ordered tacos. Like I ordered a 2 taco combo. I thought that was a combination of tacos. But it came with beans and
rice, which like I get is like a Mexican thing, but it's just funny. It's like it's 9:00 in the morning. Like I don't want beans and rice right now.
And it came with a drink apparently, and I guess I didn't select the drink, so they just gave me one, and it was Mountain Dew.
I opened the door and I looked down, and because I wasn't expecting a drink at all, and I was like, "Ew!" It's like literally like neon green. I go, "Did you order Mountain Dew?" And you were like, "Ugh, no."
Somebody left a cup of urine on her front
basically, and then you were like, "I'm gonna try it."
That is not. I was like,
you were like
I
that
took
girl.
a sip and I was like, no, that's not. People shouldn't consume that flavor. Have
you seen that girl from years ago? It's so funny. She's like one of the best memes where she like drinks something and she goes, "Ooh, no, well, no." Like literally, that was you with the Mountain Dew.
What is Mountain Dew flavor? Is it just citrus, like a citrus soda?
I have no idea. It was always really exciting growing up when we'd go to North Carolina. Like they have different drinks.
Yeah.
So like it was always either North Carolina or we'd go see my mom's family in Minnesota. And Minnesota was fun for different reasons, but not because of like different drinks and snacks. Because all they have is like Pepsi bullshit. That's one of my favorite jokes about like, is Pepsi okay?
Yeah.
No, definitely not. Skip it. But in North Carolina, there was like cheer wine, which is still a thing. Like it's predominantly around.
Yeah, we've seen it before here. Just got really dark in here.
I know, like weirdly. But it's just like cherry cola, but like not cherry Coke. It's just. You're worried, aren't you?
Yeah, it's gonna fuck with the.
Yeah.
I need to change this. Hold on.
Okay.
Keep talking.
And then Mellow Yellow, which it's like, I don't know. I was talking to someone recently and I said something about like different companies and who owns them. And this guy goes, Shannon, the same like 6 companies own everything. So I'm like, whoever owns Mellow Yellow owns Mountain Dew. They're just calling, and like Splurge or whatever was that one. They own all of these. And actually, since you told me to keep talking, when I was... Okay. Okay.
Okay. Mellow Yellow.
When I was really little, I remember just like noticing. I used to go to grocery shop with my mom every weekend. Like we talked about this too. Like I loved to go with her to the like 3 different grocery stores she had to go to every other Saturday. And we'd go to like Sam's, and I remember seeing like all the different brands of the same thing. But my mom is, like me, very particular about like, no, it's got to be this brand, this style. Yeah. And it was like toilet paper. And I remember thinking, like, but wouldn't it be smart if it was just one company and they just make the same thing but different styles and different names and different brands, but it's all the same company? They're just making it seem like you're making a choice.
That's called a monopoly.
I know, but I remember thinking that at like literally like age like 8 or 10, and then like little things like windshield wipers on cars. I remember thinking, again, very young age, like, why don't these just turn on if it's raining and they go the speed that they need to go based on how much it's raining? So there's
sensors and stuff for that.
Yeah, and like these things are all accurate.
Starting to exist now. Yeah.
No, those have been around for years.
Yeah, no, I meant, I'm not like...
You said now. Like it's just now happening now.
That's not what I meant. This has been hypercritical.
Why'd you get sad?
I don't know.
I guess it just got like cloudy.
I guess so. I don't know. It was weird. But yeah. I remember going to... It's weird how regional stuff is, because like we did the episode, which, God, I still have like an aversion. Like it's gonna... I don't think I'll ever go back. But like... We did the Little Debbie episode, right?
Yeah.
And like,
I have something to admit, but I'll let
oatmeal cream pie. I will.
You will, right?
Yeah. You've been eating out of the
Ew, no.
donation bag? Have you?
No, I threw that away a while ago. No, when I'm at like a grocery store, not like Central Market where they don't have it, like Target or Tom Thumb or something. If I'm passing that aisle, I always look.
You're like, I always buy a box and eat it on the way home.
No. No, I look to see if there's any that we missed.
Yeah.
Just because it's like my OCD tendency to just want to be like, oh, we can.
No, yeah. We could do another episode.
No, really, no. I don't know.
We do need. I mean.
We were gonna do Hostess.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm gonna finish that.
Yeah, you were on a different track.
We're Little Debbie. Hostess is another one. I don't know what it's called, but there's like the first time I went to New York with my family when I was in like elementary school. Because my family is from
you in New York
at
like
age
State. 11 or whatever.
I don't remember going to New York City. I do remember going to like Liberty Island and stuff like that, but I don't remember really being there. I think we like
what's
drove.
Liberty Island versus like Ellis Island?
Oh, that is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I think maybe Liberty Island is like from Grand Theft Auto or something. I remember going to that and like some stuff, but I don't really remember like being in New York City. I think we probably, because like we were going for a family member's wedding or something, and it was like in upstate New York. We probably drove through New York City one day and like did a
Didn't
few
even
key
stay overnight?
things, and probably like I don't think we stayed in a hotel. No. Or yeah, I don't know. I remember, it's so weird, like the things you remember. I remember staying at like a relative's house there, and like they had a pool, but it was in New York, and it was like not summertime.
Yeah.
And so it was like really cold, but everybody wanted to go out in the pool.
But you're a kid, so
Yeah.
you want to get in the pool.
And then I remember going to like a mall. Like we drove to a mall or something, and getting a Beanie Baby.
Oh my God. You just opened up a can of worms. Man, I was obsessed with Beanie Babies because it happened at like the height of our childhood.
Yeah.
And my mom just bought me one. It's very Val. Just be like out and be like, oh, I thought this was cool. And it was like the first Beanie Baby purchase.
Yeah. I feel like for us at our age too, when Beanie Babies were like the thing, we were of the age that our parents were like, oh, my baby's growing up. And then we were like, I want a stuffed animal. And they're like, yes.
And I'm like the last of four.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was like highlighted. But man, I had so many, and it was really fun to collect them and like keep them safe. And oh my God, we had a white lab. We got her as a puppy when I was 9 years old. So around the same time, what do labs love to do?
Eat things.
And we would literally
hunt
find
little animal shaped things.
Right. And she was so proud, like bringing them to us, but like she would destroy them, and like all the little pellets were like all over her poop. Like
my God.
all over. Like she ingested a lot of it. Luckily she lived to like 13, 14 years old. So, it didn't kill her, but Jesus. So those Beanie Babies that I grew up with, they're in a bin in my mom's house. Not like we're not those people that are like, oh, we're going to sell them. But I did have some rare ones too.
It's like whenever there's, for a while when people were still talking about NFTs and stuff.
God, every time I hear that now, I'm like, shut up.
And like collectibles. The thing, because like we were in an industry that was like, oh, NFTs are the future and all this other stuff. So we were like, oh, okay, cool.
You were always really skeptical.
I was always super skeptical of them,
I was
especially from like an art perspective.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, and Justin and I were actually talking about this a few weeks ago, and we never finished the conversation because we stopped working out. But
I thought about that the other day. I don't want to make him feel bad.
But we tried. Like, I still haven't finished my first story.
I was gonna say, I'm remembering the things that you haven't closed yet.
We tried. Like, it was like, we had a schedule planned out, and he, like, the first day he was like, man, I just got called into a meeting, I'm not gonna make it. The second day he's like, I totally forgot, I have to be here instead. And then the third day he was like, all right, I'm gonna be there at 3:00. And I was like, ooh, I just got a meeting. It was like the same day that my role changed at work. So like I suddenly had all these new meetings. I was like, I have meetings every day now at the time we talked about.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, well, we tried.
Yeah. We need to just give him a key and be like, just come over. He's not going to be lifting heavy enough weight for me to be like nervous about it yet.
I mean, if I were at that stage, I'd still want somebody to like help me through it.
That's true.
But closing first loop.
You're talking about New York, and so you started with like regional stuff is weird, and then you started talking about New York.
There's like a there's like a I can't get this like tight.
You got it.
There's like they have their own, I can't remember what it's called. My mom would definitely be able to tell me, but like their own like Northeasterners. There's like a line of.
Do you say Northeasterners or New Englanders?
I think New England would be people from New England.
Well, that's the Northeast.
Northeastern is a much wider region.
Sure. Okay.
That's like saying, would you say the South or Texas?
That's actually a dumb question. Yeah. I would never ask that. Why did we just have like an evil scheming laugh? That was our Fortnum and Mason coffee laugh.
But
sorry,
they have their own, like, there's a cake brand that they like.
Isn't it Entenmann's?
No, because that is a thing.
But people in the Northeast, that's like a thing up there. And I'm like, why?
But I remember like we went up to New York and it was like a thing we had to do is like go to this place to get these. It was like, it'd be like if we moved to the Northeast and we like came back down. And like they no longer had oatmeal cream pies up there, and we came back to Texas. We're like, we have to go get an
or like going to like Whataburger.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a packaged thing. It's not like a bakery that you go to. It's like a thing at the grocery store.
I think it's Drake's.
I've never heard of that.
But they have like devil dogs and stuff like that. They're like, it's just like a different brand.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was the whole story. But it's sort of like the Coke Pepsi thing where like I think in the Northeast, like more people, I've seen a map before of like where the major distributions are and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But more people drink Pepsi, and like I can't stand Pepsi.
Pepsi is notably different.
It's super different. Sweet, I feel like.
I haven't had it in so long, but I know I don't like it. One time when I was in high school, I was in Chicago, and we were stocking up on some stuff at the grocery store. And me and one of my best friends were there together, and she has family in Chicago, so she's really big on the and I have family in Minnesota, which is like kind of close enough when it comes to like dialects and calling things like pop instead of Coke, which we just call it Coke. We don't call it soda or anything. And I literally have a picture of me at the grocery store that my friend Allison took, and I'm like pointing and laughing because the sign literally says pop. And we're like, it's so like, it's definitively what they say here. It's not like a joke. What's the other one? It's like pop, soda, Coke, I guess soft drinks, but like losers. Were you had like two other threads going? I feel like.
I can't remember. They're always all over the place. Beanie Babies.
There's an episode of Sex and the City where they get together and they like are celebrating, and it's like more of like a private thing. It's not like a let's go out and get champagne. It's like in someone's apartment, and Carrie shows up with like Entenmann's, like lemon strudel, and I'm like, even these characters, like that's like me being like, let's celebrate. I picked up a box of oatmeal cream pies. Like Entenmann's to me feels like the same thing. So whenever I see it, I'm like, is there something to this
like
that I don't know?
It is like a very mass-produced thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like I've never had anything from them.
Maybe I don't know. It could be a thing where like there's like the original Entenmann's in New York City where they
That's what I'm
actually
wondering.
make them on site versus like really processed, mass-produced stuff.
I think you can get Magnolia Bakery banana pudding.
Every time they make cookies at one point, and we tried them and we were like, this is not good. No,
but the banana pudding at Magnolia Bakery is one of the best things I've ever eaten in my life, hands down. Like literally, that sounds intense, but like I tried it and was like, and now I think when I tried it, and this sounds so just like eye roll, but like when I tried it, I just went to a Magnolia Bakery in New York 5 or 6 years ago.
I was like just walking through New York.
No, I think I heard about it and I knew I wanted to go there, and it was like, I want to take a walk and do something. And I walked in and I was like, banana pudding sounds good. Like it wasn't a big deal. It was on the menu. I didn't know that it was a thing really. Yeah. And then like 2 or 3 years later, we were there together and I was like, we have to go. We walked in and like literally one of the 2 cases was pre-packed banana pudding. I was like, people have caught on. And there's like a teeny tiny one all the way up to like a vat, basically. And if we got married now, your groom's cake would probably be vat of banana pudding.
No, it'd probably still be tiramisu.
Okay, the cake would be vat
of banana vat of tiramisu and then a vat of banana pudding.
So good.
Just an industrial barrel.
I'm like, if you don't eat some of both of these, you're getting kicked out.
You have to leave.
You have to leave.
Also, everybody please leave anyway.
Also, we don't like being around people this long, so.
We have to get back to our cats, actually. We're doing the real wedding at home with our cats.
I keep thinking we're closer to year 15 than we really are. I was talking to my friend Jess, who cuts my hair. She and her husband got married like 2 months after we did.
Yeah.
And so I went to see her recently, and I was like, your anniversary was recently, right? And she's like, yeah, we went out of town, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you're the same as us. You're 13 years. And she's like, no, I don't know. And I'm like, yeah, we forget all the time.
Is it 2023?
We've been married 12 years. And the reason I get confused, the reason I get confused is it's now year 13.
Yeah.
We're on year 13. So because I did that to myself, I'm now like, I don't know how long we've been married. It's been a long time. Got dark again.
Yeah. I changed it to auto ISO, so it's going to adjust itself.
That's fancy.
It's a little annoying, but
shout out to
modern camera. My brother.
You're going to do a shout out to the camera?
Yeah.
No, AJ.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
My brother is a legitimate photographer.
Yep.
He knows what he's doing. And I asked him what camera to buy and all this other stuff. And for somebody that has an MFA and, done that, because I know absolutely nothing about cameras. I took a photography class at one point.
I have no technical ability.
And I think by the end, and this is just how I operate in general, but going through all the technical stuff, all this other stuff. And then as soon as it was the second half of the semester where they the teacher kind of gives you more freedom. It's not about executing a technical thing. I think I just did experimental exposure stuff where I was not even taking pictures anymore. Yeah, so I know nothing about cameras. And so I was talking to my brother about lighting and stuff. And I was like, how would I fix this? Do I need a really big wash?
Fix this being lighting.
The lighting, making sure it's more even, or making sure if it's cloudy or if it's, whatever. And he was like, yeah, you can get lights, but you're always going to fight with shadows. And you need a huge uncomfortable light. Especially with how much natural light you have, you're going to be fighting that all the time.
Yeah.
And the amount, the cost of a light that will compete with a wall of window next to you is going to be really ridiculous, and it's going to be so bright that it's going to be uncomfortable to sit there. And he was
probably hot too.
He was just I would fix it in post, and I was like, you can do that?
What?
He's like, yeah, you can probably adjust your camera to pick up in a lower light setting too, to adjust the ISO. And I was like,
you're like, I don't even know what ISO means.
You're saying this really expensive camera has settings that I can adjust.
I hope so.
How do I use it for my stream? But yeah.
I have a paper cut.
That's unfortunate.
I was terrified of those growing up. I still am very wary of them. But man,
paper cuts?
Yeah, because you get one and you're like, man, I remember what it felt like to not have a paper cut. That was great.
They also last forever.
Which is weird.
And it's also, you get something about a cut in general.
I'm so uncomfortable right now.
A cut in general, paper cuts are usually pretty slow. And you can feel it happening.
Spencer, enough.
Tearing.
Oh my God.
You imagine your skin just
No. We're done. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
Oh, we never did this one. Another segue. What we were going to ask, what is your, because you asked me what my pet peeve is.
It was a more specific question.
Yeah.
What's your pet peeve when it comes to me? What's something I do that you're like, God damn it, stop doing that?
A minor one, or a...
Okay, so I literally...
Or a relationship challenging one.
So I literally imagined asking you this question, and I had a little daydream picturing you saying something really intense and then being like, well, so what was yours? And I'm going to be like,
your hair's a little curly on top, and it sticks out.
You leave your socks right next to the hamper instead of putting them in, and you'd be like, oh.
I think the only thing that I can think of that comes to mind.
I can't wait to hear this.
And I don't experience it as much anymore because we're in different spaces now.
Okay.
But when we lived in the loft and we were in the same space all the time, and we were both working during the day.
Am I really loud on the phone?
It's not that you're loud on the phone. You do this thing, and I've told you about this
before.
You do this thing when you're on the phone where between, not every sentence, but even between words, you'll do this click noise. And when it's one of those things, when I noticed it, it's every time it's
It's like a dagger in the heart every time. And you know what's funny? When you pointed that out, I was like, I really wish he hadn't pointed that out, because this was in the era of me being on the phone and running meetings, not just sitting in meetings, running meetings all goddamn day. So you were so it reached a point where I was like, I can't speak anymore because now I know, and even though I know I can't stop, But the weird thing is, after you told me that, I noticed it in other people.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people do this, and I don't know where it came from, but then I suddenly was like, this is horrible.
Yeah.
I will now only be communicating over email and text. I am not available for verbal conversations.
And that's why I quit my job.
Okay. In the same category, you do this thing where it's such a tick, and it's so funny because like you're not actually asking this question.
Yeah.
Two things actually. It's in the same.
Trust me. I've got 3 things.
Trust me.
Actually,
trust me. No.
Let me pull out my list from my phone.
No, we'll be talking, and you're telling a story, and you say like 2 words, and because I haven't given like a verbal cue yet, you're like, and I'm like, yeah, I follow you. Like you've only said one thing, and it's not complicated.
I think the problem is
so funny.
Because like when we're on the podcast,
but you'll stop talking until I acknowledge you, and I'm like,
when we're on the podcast, it's different because we have to be fully engaged. You know what I mean? Like we're sitting. This is all we're doing.
Yeah.
We're not looking at our phones, and so like a lot of times when we're talking to each other in person at home, just hanging out, you'll be like looking at your phone, and there have been many times where I'm like 2 sentences into a story, and you're like, I'm sorry, what? I have no idea what you just said.
And I don't feel bad because you are an equal offender.
Yeah.
So we cancel each other out.
Yeah. But I do require confirmation. I need like a lot of
And yeah, exactly. But it makes me laugh. I'm not annoyed by it. It makes me laugh when you do it after you're like, okay, so I stopped at Central Market the other day. I know. I stopped at Central Market the other day, and I'm just sitting there, and you go,
You following me?
And I'm like, yeah, you didn't lose me yet. I follow. But the thing I was going to say is, especially if you have a long, drawn-out thing to say your piece, explain whatever, you'll go, you know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, I know what you mean.
Or you call me out on this all the time where I'll be like, I'll say something sort of like what you were saying before. Sort of like what you were saying before, where I was going to the store. You know what I mean? You're like, of course I do.
What is a store?
Yeah, you haven't said anything that would be a challenge for anybody that understands the English language. You know, like,
but there are times where, again, like, okay, we were on a walk yesterday, and we're talking about like a scenario where my business changes like 100% or 90%.
Or that's what I was gonna say. Is I'll say like, it's like you're like, I don't know, because you haven't. You will literally
say something like, it's as if you're in a car with someone on a road trip, and then they just, and I'm like, nope. Did
you left out the most important piece of information.
And it's just like a word at the end. And there are times where I do know 95% of the time.
Well, that's the
I
thing
know.
Is that most of the time, just like with the supervillain story, most of the time we're like on the same wavelength. Yeah. And like I can say the first two words of a sentence, and you're like, oh yeah, of course.
I already thought about that. I did it. And you're like, wow. But there are times where you just leave out the most key important word. And you're like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, not even a little bit. You have to finish your point.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Is just funny because you're not pausing to ask. It's just a placeholder. Because if I start to answer you and say like, actually, I don't, you're like, anyway. So then you would do it this way, and you would make sure to map out this, and you put this on the website. And I'm like, okay, he's not interested in my feedback right now.
Was the creative director, folks? That's totally me.
Oh my God. Okay, so this guy is like an incredible producer, and when you look at his work, he has done serious shit. But if you
hypercritical podcast.
Although if Jason were here right now, he'd be like, yeah, fuck you, because everything that you've done that he sees, he's like, God damn it, it's beautiful and perfect. No, so this guy, if you see it without the context, you're like, who is this like random guy with like a long gray beard and long hair? And he's like, so do you play any instruments? And he's like, barely. Do you know how to operate a soundboard? Oh, I have no technical ability at all. So what do you get paid for?
Yeah.
And he goes, the confidence that my taste, and like what he says, you're actually like,
confidence in my taste and the ability to express how I feel or something like that.
That is an effective creative director.
Yeah.
Like, it's a joke, but it's also incredibly true. Because how many people have you worked with who had creative director as their title?
Yeah.
And they try to meddle in the technical stuff?
Yeah.
I guarantee that guy didn't.
Yeah.
He just knew he had good technical people who knew what they were doing.
Right. Yeah.
That got really passionate very suddenly. But like, I just feel like it's one of those roles that it's like people with exceptional taste who can communicate it. It's actually really rare. And if you find someone like that. Did Don Draper do the art boards? No.
Right. Yeah.
I love referring to Don Draper like he's a real person.
But yeah, I mean, and that's where I'm special because I also have the technical ability.
It's true.
It's
annoyingly true.
It's funny because like there's so many things, especially, and I think we've talked a little bit about this, maybe not directly here, but like there's so many things that I come across where it's like the podcast. The whole reason we're doing a podcast is we're talking about it'd be cool to do a podcast, and it was like, well, let's just fucking do it. Let's figure out how to do that. Don't know anything about cameras, don't know anything about microphones. We're probably doing a lot of stuff technically wrong, but you know, at least we put something up. Same with like streaming, where it's like, okay, I'm just gonna figure it out. Yeah.
I learn best in the figure it out phase.
Yeah.
So
like I work for a company that's a international company and ended up without any experience doing so making their website, and it's just
I was talking to a potential like a good contact of mine, and she's like, I potentially want to redo my website. Who have you worked with? And I'm like, I'll tell you, but I don't think it's gonna be like the resource you're looking for.
And you know, it's a fairly good website, and I think it's got, you know,
I mean, it's a great website. It's really
I think
good.
there's also, you know, when you work with somebody who really knows something, a lot of time there's a tendency to get like the same thing. Whereas when somebody has to, like, I probably did stuff that most people would either look at and be like, that's the dumbest way to do that, you did it wrong, or like, oh, I never thought about that. You know, like,
but you're like weirdly good at like UX and like very basic marketing principles. And I've worked with a lot of people who are like CMO or marketing director, and like one or two had some good skill sets, but I've never seen someone be like great at it. And you're good, not like you're the marketing director or whatever, but like you're good at keeping things focused and simple.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm like, ooh, we could do it like this, and we could do this, and it'd be really cool if at the same time this person over here was doing this, and you're like,
oh, hold on.
You're like, what's the CTA? And I'm like, I don't know.
But there's so many things that are like that, especially increasingly as I do those things. I'm like, oh, well, I figured it out with that. And like, for example, I was just randomly daydreaming the other day about like making a video game for my stream and stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, I could probably do it.
You were talking about that on our walk yesterday or the day before, and I was like, he'll figure it out. Next thing you know, there's going to be some game. He bought an island and he's a dictator. I don't know.
I could run a country.
How long do you think it's been? Because I've noticed that as soon as I start to get like a tiny bit tired, it's about an hour.
Oh, really?
And I'm just curious if I'm right about it this time.
Let's look. I can't see the numbers too far away. You're short. It's only 48 minutes.
Wow.
You're getting soft, Shannon.
Call me short. Every chance you get, you're calling me short.
Yeah, but anyway, so I'm great. No, just kidding. What else happened this week? Back to Hypercritical, the anime podcast. What new developments in Cowboy Bebop, Shannon?
We watched a couple episodes the other night, and I think it was like I'm up to episode 4. Because the first one, he's looking for the guy and the pregnant girl with the drugs. Yeah. And then the second one is the dog. Yeah. Which I was excited about because it's a corgi. And I love him immediately. And I was really worried because the second I saw a dog or heard a dog,
I watched 4. I thought it was only 3 for a second.
I was like, oh no. Honestly, I got Futurama flashbacks. I was like, don't do this to me. Oh, yeah. Whatever it is, I need it to be a good thing. And then I think I remembered seeing like a cover art thing with the dog. And I'm like, okay, we'll be fine.
What's
his name?
Ein. He's Einstein. His name's Ein.
Because he's really smart.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
He's a super smart dog. All of that kind of like there's connections, but it takes too much explanation for me to go through and tie it into everything else we talked about.
And then hold on, I can do this. This dog episode, something. And then it was the like family that it was all about like environmental and animal protection and stuff. Yeah. And of course I was like,
the like environmental terrorists.
Yeah.
The like poker chip episode.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, the intro of the girl who I think is with them now too.
Faye.
Okay. Something about watching anime and just like I gotta also do something else that's not too distracting.
You're like, I have to at least only like you're you're like, I'll put one foot in the door, but I'm not walking in the room.
That's basically what it is. I'm like in the door frame and I'm looking at something over here while I'm also watching and listening to.
Just in case somebody comes in, you're like, I was just doing my puzzle. I wasn't.
I dropped a puzzle piece under this door.
I wasn't watching.
So I had to open the door to find.
Wasn't watching anime.
Again, anime is just Japanese cartoons. Like it's really not.
Yeah, but I mean, it does have a very specific like
lots
vibe
of gasps
to it.
Why do I think of gasps right away? Think about it.
I can't think of any.
It's just like a thing the characters are always doing. It's like the dramatic moment. It's hard to explain. I'll find some examples.
But there's like a very specific. It's not like you wouldn't equate an anime, JoJo, to Western animation as the same genre.
Agreed.
Yeah.
That's why I called it Japanese.
Yeah, it is Japanese animation, but it's a specific thing. Yeah.
Remember your typo?
It wasn't even that funny.
I thought it was funny.
It wasn't like I typoed into a wrong word. It was just like I spell stuff wrong on that.
I even looked it up and was like, just in case I'm the one who is misunderstanding. Anyway, so yeah, getting into like episodes 3 and 4, I'm like, all right, I get it, I see it. It's not like an anthology, but it's not quite like JoJo, where it's like an arc all the way through. It's kind of like this is who they are and what they do in general. What's the story for this episode? Yeah,
I mean, well, it's sort of like Stardust Crusaders in that sense, like where like
they still have like their big mission though.
We're just not far enough into the story to like really get all of that. So you're on episode 4, so they're still introducing characters, and like building up the thing. But in general, it's like they are bounty hunters that literally either through bad luck or they screwed up for themselves. Like they never get anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
They're always just like running on
I actually
fumes.
hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
But they are like gaining unexpected things. I do like it. I get it. I get the like cult appeal. I see why when you wear that shirt, there's like at least one person that we bumped into who's like, nice shirt, man. It's a cool shirt too.
Yeah.
I like it. Is Ein on it?
I think so.
Is he? Maybe. To look.
I think all the characters are on it one way or another.
You ready for a Downton Abbey pop quiz?
Are we just pivoting straight into that?
Well, I mean, what else do you want to say about Cowboy Bebop?
Lots of stuff.
I can't talk that much about it. I mean, I don't know. I can't.
I think
we waited to talk about JoJo until we were done with JoJo.
But we've got to have an anime segment in every episode.
Gotta says who?
The
creative director
and the creative director.
That would have been a better answer.
All right, Downton Abbey pop quiz, go.
Okay. At the very end of the series, Edith gets married. How many times before did she almost get married? And why didn't she?
Whoa.
In each instance. There's not that many. 3?
4.
2.
1, the guy just like ghosts her.
At the altar. Leaves her at the altar.
Yeah.
He doesn't even ghost her. He's there and they're about to do it. And he's like, I can't do it. I got to leave.
Yeah.
Fully jilted.
He like doesn't just not show up. He like gets up there and he's like, I have to go.
Do you remember his name?
No.
It's very English because it's Sir Anthony. They're very big on, like, it's not Anthony.
Doesn't one of them like disappear in the war or something?
It's in the late 1930s.
Yeah.
And
he's in Germany.
Or 20s, sorry. Yeah, he's in Germany. And like the brown shirts. And he's like a do-gooder type. So he probably interfered when they were doing something.
Yeah.
Naughty. Remember his name?
No.
Michael Gregson. Edith has a terrible run of bad luck.
She's really annoying, but like also like one of those that when you like think about it outside of the drama context, you're like, man, this is fucked up.
In what way?
Just like she's presented as an annoying character and like a side character kind of, and like, you know, Edith, and like
she's actually like
at the
really
same time,
smart.
like she gets screwed over so many times.
Well, then because Michael dies, he left everything to her as far as like his magazine, like his successful women's magazine. And so she takes over that, and like she's a really good editor, and she's actually super smart and doesn't get caught up in like being a lady in waiting or whatever. She's a good character. Good job. You kind of got there.
Struggled through it.
Yeah. I mean, you answered part 2 of the question pretty well. Well done. I'm curious to see how things evolve and how much Downton Abbey you really remember.
I mean, not as much as you'd think.
So far, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah,
you're like, no, I've never even heard of it.
I don't know.
I don't know that show. I'm not familiar.
I just know the names and birth dates and all that stuff of every single character.
The puppy, by the way, Tio. I think.
I know that because I looked it up.
Oh, is that right?
I put his picture on the podcast when we published it.
Don't
if you watch
even
the podcast,
start
you would
with me.
know.
You have a lot of like shade. Exactly.
Well, are we done? Cool.
Drinks are gone.
Drinks are gone. Got other stuff to do today.
Might need a coffee.
Ooh, are you gonna go get iced coffees for us?
No, you're not gonna start streaming right now. We can go get something. I'm not coming back and forth.
What time is it? Ooh, it's pretty close to start time.
You have an hour and 5
I got
minutes.
stuff to set up. We got to move the camera back over to my stream camera that we borrow for the podcast on your business. I have to move back.
I'm ignoring you.
Darn it. If you'd like to help support our podcast and my stream and Shannon's business, consider following and or subscribing to me on Twitch so that one day I can afford my own camera.
He's mad that I'm taking
Shannon's
my
going out of
business
town,
camera
taking my Twitch
to Vail for
business
its
camera.
purpose
Twitch
in life,
business
which
camera.
is to record the collective podcast.
Shannon just pitched. Should she just pitch herself? I'm going to pop it up on the screen. But like kind of like sheepishly.
Okay.
All right. This has been Hypercritical.
Stay critical.
We'll see you next week when we talk about nuclear submarines.
What did you say?
Nuclear submarines.
I thought you said nuclear.
Nuclear.
It's pronounced nuclear. He works at a nuclear power plant and he says it wrong. Nuclear. That's how I know that it's nuclear.
From The Simpsons.
Yes. The Simpsons is brilliant.
I never really got into The Simpsons. I am 100% a Futurama man, though.
I love Futurama, but The Simpsons
so
started
good.
it all and it's still going.
Help! Fish police!
That's one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my entire life. Help, police!